Welcome back to another episode of Your Platform Podcast. I'm here with a very, I think, special guest, man. We go way back to Little League baseball days. Man, I was so happy when you reached out to come on to my show. So thank you very much. And before we introduce him, he's grown to a really successful tree service business, right? Yep. That incepted in 2021. Is that when you went official?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. You're a father of two now, right? Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
old are they?
My daughter, Aura Lou,
Yeah.
is 4 years old, and my son, Charlie John, is 2.5 going on 3.
2.5 going on 3. And married to the lovely Jessica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And welcome to the show, CJ Satti with Satti Family Tree Services. I almost said it backwards. So thank you for joining me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And this is cool, man. So, before we go into some of the stuff I wanted to talk about, I had to really think about when I asked you, and I ask all my guests to give me stuff that they want to talk about, because I can come up with stuff and that's cool. But I think it's important. The reason why it's your platform is because I want things that matter to you. It's your platform to discuss. And you had said family first was the number one. Number 2 was business. Number 3 was work-life balance in life in itself. And then number 4, which I actually had several conversations on my show about this, was your growing relationship with God. So I'm very excited to talk about these things. But I had to think, I'm like, man, why? And I'll ask you, but I'm going to give you my interpretation first. But why Satti Family Tree Services?
It's a good question.
And I had to think back because for me, your family looked out a lot for me growing up. I remember your uncle, your dad, really, if I couldn't get to a baseball game or anything like that, they would pick me up and bring me there. And I'm pretty sure in fall ball, they supported me playing in the National League Fall Ball League, because we didn't have fall ball. Back then, it was a little different, right? We had the American League and National League. And they supported me. And I was thinking about this on the way here is, family is unconditional love. And for you to have that as your name in the Satti Family Tree Services, and then looking at what you do in the community, support local, all of that stuff aligns with that. So is my interpretation along the lines of what the meaning of this business is?
Yeah, man, you're getting deep right out of the gate. But I also set myself up for that with my topics as well.
Yeah.
To make it simple, Satti's Family Trees. It's actually Satti's Family Trees LLC.
Family Trees LLC. Yeah.
Not a big difference, but so Satti, it's my last name.
Right.
And, I'm very proud of my family. And Family Trees is a little play on, the family tree, and the family tree is always growing, but we were raised that family is first. And unconditional love, you're right on the money with that. And it's not just people with your last name.
Right.
It's people that you love. And your family can be so much more than just the people that are your blood.
I love that.
And then trees, because we cut down trees.
That's right.
And, when folks are writing out the check, I always have to let them know that it has the S on it, because we're not just cutting one tree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees out there.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about that, man. You got in, were you doing that before 2021 on your own?
Yeah. So I would say that I worked for my dad's landscaping business, as he says, old enough to walk, old enough to work, Charlie boy. He always had me working hard, and I used to hate it back then, but it definitely paved the way for who I am today, just like basically everything along the way. So I'd say Superstorm Sandy in roughly 2012.
Okay.
And I was probably, around 20 years old, getting out of been cutting the same lawns and weed whacking the same lawns and raking the same leaves for a very long time. Superstorm Sandy came in, we had a big tree job. There was trees down
all over
everywhere.
The place. Yeah, I remember.
It was devastation, especially for this area. And I kind of fell in love with it. Fell in love with the chainsaw. Had Kent Ward, who's a big person in my life too. He was climbing the trees, even at probably, who knows, 50 or 60 years old at that time. And I was just kind of fell in love with it. I
Mm,
started splitting wood.
mm,
From there, I worked for multiple residential tree companies, and then I moved into utility line clearance.
mm,
So that's cutting the trees away, trimming the trees away from the power lines when trees fall on the power lines in the big storms. We're the first responders to
mm.
get there and to make the scene safe for the linemen to put the power back on. That's so we got a lot of experience
Yeah, yeah.
in that realm because it's a very, very dangerous realm, and learned a lot of the by the book ways
Mm.
and safety regulations, and it taught me a lot.
Yeah. Is it safe to say there's an element of a kid in you when it comes to this kind of work? You know, that inner child. And if I remember, young Satti, young CJ Satti, pretty wild.
Try to forget them. No,
Yeah,
no.
no, no. I mean, but that's why you are who you are. But is there an element of that still that kid that's in you that bleeds into your work as cutting down trees and whatnot?
100%.
Yeah,
We have so much fun
yeah,
doing what we do, even though while we're having that fun,
mhm,
it is super serious
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
To touch on that a little bit, is the wild young man. My mom tells me stories about how, probably in preschool, I would climb everything.
really.
And we have lifts now that make our job a lot easier and
It's
safer,
safer,
but
yeah.
we have tree climbers. I climb trees
Mhm,
every now and then when we have to, when we can't get access to stuff. And she, the way she explained it to me was at Bethel, I went to Bethel preschool. They have
mhm,
like these teetered bricks,
yeah,
and I would start climbing up them. I would shimmy up flagpoles like
wow.
100 feet. And
Oh, God.
thanks to my mom, she wasn't that helicopter parent.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
allowed me to
yeah,
do
yeah,
that. And all the other parents were like, "What are you going to let him do that?" And she just let me do it, let
yeah,
me climb, let me
yeah.
soar. And
The-
that's why, again, why I am who I am
yeah, a
today.
little fearless, right? Just kind of just jump into things. And you even mentioned this. You're a hell of a wrestler too. In your day. Like that's part of my introduction. But I think that that there's a sense of, again, being having that childlike energy in you to do your job. I think that's kind of why you're passionate about what you do. But I want to actually jump into the business since we're already on this subject. We'll go through the other stuff in a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm curious. What was the hardest piece going into this? You said 2012 you get in and you learn a lot. You start your business in 2021. People are calling about everything outside of, I'm thinking from an insurance standpoint, right? People call me, hey, we're buying a car. It's middle of COVID, right? This is kind of 1 year into COVID. Things are still kind of, iffy. What were some of the hardest things for you early on in your business?
Well, they haven't gotten any easier. No,
Okay.
I think, before the business even started, was making the jump,
Mhm.
saying, "Can I do this?"
Mm.
And having confidence in yourself is important, but you know, take the steady job, take the
Right, right,
town
right,
job, or
right.
take this or that, good benefits, good
Mhm.
401k, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how everybody goes in the line. But I built it up a long time before making the plunge and got my name out
Yeah,
there
yeah.
with different landscaping services, doing smaller
Mm.
trees. And I'd say taking the plunge was probably one of the first biggest challenges,
Mm.
of course, because you got to
Right, right.
start from
Yeah.
somewhere. Someone told me that starting a business is like jumping out of an airplane and building your parachute on the way
Oh,
down.
wow.
And
That's a great
that
analogy.
that stuck with me because it
It's
seems to be
wild.
very true.
Uh, in your work, what is some of the lessons you've learned early on outside of the safety and all that
Yeah,
stuff? Because
the
it can actually follow up this. Do you have a team now? Do you have employees and
luckily,
whatnot? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and I'm so grateful for them.
That's awesome. So yeah. So what are some of the things you've learned throughout this process? 3 years and having a team. I mean, I know people who have been in business for 10 years and just there's two-man shops, and all different types of work, not just what you do. But yeah, what are some of those things that
Yeah, so the
stood out?
lessons really haven't been on the safety and how to physically do the work.
Mhm.
That it seems like it is extremely hard what we
Yeah.
do, but that comes very easy and natural. It's running the business that's very hard. learning how to manage your time, learning how to be organized, learning how to grow your team,
Mhm.
learning how to realize that you can't do it all alone.
Mhm.
You have to have good people behind you on
Yeah.
the crew. People tag us on Facebook. My family gives me so much love and support.
Yeah, for sure.
So
What did you wanna do before? Did you go off to college?
I did.
You did. Where'd you
Yeah.
go?
I went out to Colby College in
Okay.
Kansas, small JUCO college.
Yeah, yeah.
Mainly, what I wanted to do was be a wrestler.
You wanna be a wrestler,
Yeah.
like a Kurt Angle kinda wrestler, not like a WWE
Yeah, I
type
was just
wrestler, right?
chasing the dream. I
Yeah,
wrestled
yeah,
since I was very
yeah,
young, come from a family of
yeah.
wrestlers, and made some mistakes along the way.
Of course, we all do.
Young,
Yeah,
first time away from home. My dad, he's a probation officer,
yeah.
so I joke that my entire life I've been on probation. Kept me on a very tight leash, and I
Yeah,
that wild boy came out
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. What is the most misunderstood aspect about what you do in your role?
Let me think about this a
Yeah.
little bit.
Do
I would say that it's all glorious
Mm.
that you see on social media.
It
You
looks
see
fun, man. All the stuff you post looks fun.
it is fun.
Yeah,
It's mentally taxing,
yeah.
and
How so?
how much time you got? No,
Let's go.
I want it. It's tough. I think the biggest thing for me is that the sacrifices I have to make all of this happen takes me away from my family
Mm.
when I'd really just rather be doing
Yeah,
that all the time. And
yeah.
think that's maybe the end goal
Mhm,
is to be in a position where I could step away from this,
mhm.
still have it
Run into
run.
something, yeah,
And that's a whole nother hurdle that
yeah,
I'm still not ready for, but
yeah,
we're working towards it.
yeah. I had this conversation with Samer Delgado. We did the same thing, and I asked him. I said, what's next for this? And he said the same thing. He said, you look at Fit Fam where it is now, but I want to Fit Fam in California. I want to Fit Fam in New York City. Things like that. And that's the legacy. That's what you want to leave. That's the impact that you want to leave. Not only because one, it's going to be good for you and your family, financially, right? And the Satti name is, I think, probably the most popular name that I know in the area.
Small fish. I'm big fish, small pond. New
Yeah,
London.
yeah,
New London's a small. We're fifth generation New Londoners.
yeah.
My
Wow,
my great grandfather
yeah,
came over on the boat from Italy.
wow.
His son, my great grandfather, who I'm named after,
Uh-huh.
got his doctorate at Yale, and he was the first Italian American Secretary of State.
Wow.
And now his son, my grandfather, C. Robert Satti, was the state prosecuting attorney for New London County,
Man,
and his famous case was he got Michael Ross the death penalty. He
wow.
was the last person to get the death penalty in the state of Connecticut.
That's crazy. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah,
That's wild,
yeah.
man. So there's
Can't leave out Big John. You already touched on him a little bit.
Big John.
So I do feel that there are big shoes to fill,
Yeah.
and
Do you
I'm
wear
ready.
that?
I'm ready to
You wear
step
that?
into
You
them.
wear
I don't
What
know
do
if I'm wearing them yet. I'm trying to, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm being a business owner,
Dude,
and when you
it's
talk about those guys,
yeah. But
I
it's so natural for you, man. When I watch, it's just like there's some people that do it and you can kind of tell, and I'm not a shake, listen, I'm doing this. I have imposter syndrome every single time I do one of these shows. Like, I'm not built for this, or it just happens. But you wear that and you can't even tell, like, you're such a natural. Like when I see you out at the parades, and even what I see you do for the community, man, it's so natural. You wear it so well. And I love that. I wish I should have a little bit more of that. I should have been climbing poles when I was younger. I was in the garbage cans and locked in sheds as a young one. Um, you know, I like to always, we'll touch on your successes, right? I want to hear your success story, but I like to know what people aren't good at. What are you not good at?
that's funny because I was having this conversation the other day. Things I'm not good at. I'm not good at when you fill the water in the ice cube tray and you try to put
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in it without spilling the water. I'm also not good at peeling the cheese sticks
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
You try to get it in one peel.
The oh, yeah,
Yeah,
like a
like
sliced
a
cheese?
sliced
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
when it's wrapped, I can do that. But when
Yeah,
you got the pounded cheese and
yeah,
you
yeah,
try to pull it apart
yeah,
and it rips all up,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's plenty of things I'm not good
yeah,
at. And uh, you touched on imposter syndrome, and
yeah.
it's not fake it till you make it, because
No, no, it's not.
that's
No.
not actually a thing. That's people probably shouldn't say that,
Right.
but belief in oneself
Mhm.
and emitting that confidence. If
Yeah,
you want other people to believe in you, you got to believe in yourself.
yeah. It's amazing, right? I think back to our playing days. Let's just go back to high school. I mean, did you wrestle in college too?
I did.
You did. So there's a different level of confidence that we have when we're that young, right? Like very much like you. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. You said you wanted to wrestle, and we have a level of confidence that that's going to happen. Um, but somewhere along the way, that confidence kind of fades in a little bit. Like you just mentioned, it's making sure that we're believing in ourselves. I'll ask you, and I'll give you my response. But why do you think that happens, or to people? And based off of what you just said, what do you think that happened?
Well, confidence when you're young
Hmm.
is usually not confidence.
Hmm.
It's usually cockiness.
Yeah,
And
that's a great answer.
I'm definitely, you know, I had a big head
Yeah, yeah,
and I got hyped up. I hyped
mhm,
myself up,
yeah,
and that's part of being confident, but
yeah,
there's a fine line. And I think that the reason that we lose that confidence is so that we can have an ego death, and
mhm,
so that we can then actually build confidence instead of false confidence. You
yeah,
have to, if you live a life where you just build, you're confident and everything's going well. And as we remember when we're young and we're just playing baseball,
yeah, yeah.
life is good, man. And we look back
Easy,
on that now. It was easy, less responsibility.
right, right.
But to become a man, you have to fail.
Yeah, for sure. I heard this thing the other day. Is a gentleman. His name's Chris Paradiso. He owns Paradiso Insurance in Stratford. I think Stafford Springs. And I follow him on pretty much all platforms. And he goes, his grandfather had told him when he was younger to pray for a hard life, not for an easy life, because you don't want things given to you easy. And I think, and this is my interpretation of the question I just asked you, when we are younger, things are very easy, right? Like you said, no responsibility. We don't got to pay the bills. We don't got to put, the food in anyone's mouth. And to a sense, right, we have the mentors. Like you had a great dad, I had a great mother. We had people around us, but we're very stubborn and like you said, big headed. I thought I was the Jesse Hans. I thought I was the Matt Harveys. I thought I was the Rajay Davises, but I didn't realize the level of work and the level of preparation, if you will, that it would take to get to those levels. And you know, I love your explanation of we needed ego death because 100%, I still feel like I think we go through these phases. And I'll say for me, being in insurance for 9 years, when things go well, right, that mindset of cockiness comes back. And it's like I'm not trying to be cocky. It's just it's so embedded in me, and that we almost need that to get pulled back. So like when COVID happened, it was like that was a good reset, right? Good realization of things need to slow down. You got to kind of put things into perspective. I had my son during COVID, like it I needed that. So I love that explanation that you just gave. That you need an ego death, because, and I think there's probably times in careers that you kind of need to go through that a couple different times. I think too, and I'm sorry to just kind of ramble on about this, but I think too that we're only in our mid 30s, right? It's only 15 years ago that we finished college. That's not a long time ago, and I feel like there's a little bit of an expectation that we put on ourselves that we just have to have it all figured out. At least I say that for myself. I think I need things, or I want to have it all, but it's like you do got to put in that work and kind of go into what that Paradiso quote he said. It was, pray for things to be hard. You don't want things to be easy. Let's talk family. Let's talk family, because this is, I was really excited when, like you said, when you said that. So, um, what's family mean to you?
Everything.
Mm,
Like I said, I'm blessed to come from a big family.
mm,
Um, my mom and dad, looking back now, sacrificed everything to give me my life.
mm,
I'm fortunate enough to have a large family in our house too.
mm,
Had an older brother, Steven.
mm.
Unfortunately, a few years ago, he passed away
Sorry.
from a heroin
Yeah,
overdose, fentanyl overdose, touching a lot of families.
yeah.
On a lighter note, though, I have my sister Victoria, who was
Mhm.
born
Tori.
a year. Tori,
Yeah.
yeah, she doesn't get called Victoria too often, but I think it's funny that I referred to her that way. Um, Tori is a year and 2 days younger than me.
Yeah.
My birthday is June
I didn't realize
13th.
she was that much younger than you.
Everyone thinks she's older than me
I thought
because
she was.
she's
I thought she was younger than you.
oh, everyone thinks she's older than me
Yeah.
because she's a lot more mature, and still is to this day. But we're a year and 2 days apart.
Yeah.
So I'm June 13th.
Yeah.
She's June 15th.
Nice.
She's killing it in
Nice.
the mortgage
Yes, she
loan
is.
originator game,
Yeah.
and she's great.
Yeah.
She was like my person,
Mhm.
kind of inseparable as growing up and being born on those same days
Yeah.
almost. And then my brother Max
Mhm.
came. I think 6 years later. I think he's
Yeah.
born in '96,
Yeah.
and his birthday is June 14th.
Oh wow! So you guys have all birthdays in the
So we're
same month.
13,
Wow.
14, 15 of June.
Wow.
So we all have that bond.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
It was nice until they stole my birthday. I only had one birthday to myself,
yeah. Yeah.
and Max just became a mortgage loan
Oh
originator.
sweet.
Yeah, so he's
He
gonna.
was with the family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
He
man.
better not be with the competition.
They're
We'll have to get him.
they're gonna take over there, man. They really are. That's
Yeah, they my aunt Dorothy and my uncle Bill, they run Gateway Mortgage,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
they are people
Powerhouse.
love them.
Yeah.
It's
They're powerhouse.
I know that they're really good at their job,
Mhm.
but I think it's them.
They're good people.
It's
Yeah.
them, the effect that they have on people. My aunt Dot is,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know her.
Oh, I
but
see her.
yeah,
I go down to Guthrie Beach in the summer because my wife's friends has a pass down there, and she's always down there. And she's always like, "Hey, Paul," and I run into her at all these networking events and stuff all the time. And she's always so nice to me.
she's a hot ticket,
Yeah,
man. She's something.
she is all over the place, man. She's very good at what she does.
She's my godmother.
Yeah, is she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You,
I'm not done with my siblings though. I don't want to cut
oh
you
yeah,
off.
that's right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's
I
only 20
apologize.
more. So then beautiful Olivia,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
actually was, probably I joke around, but she was the best wrestler in
Oh,
our
really?
family. Yeah.
Huh.
Female wrestler, wrestled against the boys,
Wow.
beat the living snot out of boys
Uh-huh.
growing up all the way. Once she got up to high school, it
When's
got
her
a little bit
birthday?
tougher. January 9th.
Okay, so you like her the most.
Yeah, she's my favorite. No, I'm her favorite. She's great, and she graduated from college with a recreation something along the lines of rec. She's great. She's living life, and currently a nanny in California for a pretty well off family, I
Wow.
guess, that takes her everywhere when they go on vacation to Hawaii. I think she's been to Hawaii twice.
Good for her.
Yeah, and I got one more.
Yep.
I got Giuseppe.
Yep.
Giuseppe is my godson.
Uh-huh.
Victoria is his godmother.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was born when I was in 8th grade. We're
Mhm.
13 and a half years
Oh
apart.
wow. Wow.
And he is playing baseball at Mitchell
That's
College,
awesome, man.
and he loves baseball.
Nice.
And he is
what year is he in at Mitchell?
I think he redshirted last year,
Okay.
but he's a sophomore.
Good for him. Awesome.
And he's growing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
He's the littlest. He's the
Yeah.
youngest, but he's the biggest too.
So let's, now your immediate family, right? Wife, kids, obviously I know for myself being a dad, what that means. But there's that balance, right? You put in all this time for work, and you do it for them. You do it for them, right? How do you balance that emotion of work and life balance, work life balance, I should say?
Yeah. When I gave you that as a topic, it's because I need to hear myself talk about it as well.
Good.
It's really hard,
Hmm.
and you get into that hustle mindset, and at one point, and then probably still the same case, but you're working 7 days a week.
You're working 7 days a week. Yeah, good for
I've
you, bro.
been taking Sundays off to
Good.
make them family
Yeah,
days.
good.
But especially in the earlier days when I was doing this on the side, I was working my full time job.
Mhm.
And then I would work every Saturday and Sunday. So while other people were at the beach or you like to play your golf,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was out working
yeah.
kind of to make up for
Right.
lost time
Mhm.
when I was not doing what I was
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. Um, and it's really hard to balance it, especially when you get home and you're physically and emotionally exhausted,
Mhm.
and you don't have those rest days, the Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Saturdays are usually filled with estimates. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
driving
yeah.
around all day.
Are you all over the state?
No,
No,
I
just
stay probably 25 miles. We
okay.
stay within 30
Good.
minutes. Rarely go to Norwich.
Yeah.
Rarely go
Good.
to, like, I want to go to Old Saybrook,
Yeah, yeah.
Salem.
Mhm.
So we keep it.
That's where I live.
Well, I'm not coming.
Yeah,
No,
I don't have trees. I don't have
I make
trees.
exceptions for people,
I don't
but
have trees, so I'm
you
good.
know, part of it is time.
Yeah.
If I drive out to Salem, it's a half hour away
Right,
from me.
right, right.
I'm going to drive a half hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend 15 minutes to a
Mhm.
half hour.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to drive another half hour back
Yeah.
just to talk to somebody about their
Right,
trees.
right. So
So
I really appreciate you coming here, because I know, like, it's after 5, and you know, your kids are probably getting ready for dinner and getting ready to go to bed soon. So, and to me that means something, right? That you saw value in coming here. So I really do appreciate that. Um, is there anything that you do, or what do you do to try to manage that? Right? Like, I I know calendar for me. I use a calendar for everything. Like now with the podcast, I have like that popping up in my calendar. For work with insurance quotes, that pops up. So I try to stay true to that, and sometimes it gets interrupted. Um, what about for you specifically around the work life balance? Do you have like a family calendar? Like, what do you do anything like that?
my wife runs that,
She
and
runs it. Yeah,
I'm the husband, so of course she
yeah.
tells me we're doing something for 3 weeks straight, and then
Mhm.
it comes to do the day, and she goes, "I told you." I go, "No, you didn't." But I just have recently been getting more organized with myself and
Mhm.
our scheduling our work,
Yeah.
and so now I've grown and I've become more organized in
Mhm.
that sense. So now I have a better idea of where I'm going to be
Mhm.
in the next month.
Right.
Um, but as far as making time for the kids, even though I do sacrifice those
Yeah.
weekends,
Yeah.
and I miss out on certain Saturday mornings when the kids are at gymnastics because
Mhm.
I'm running the business, doing what's best for the business. I
Yeah.
do make all the time I can,
Mhm.
and we make sure to go on nice family trips, and
Good. You need to make up for
we
it.
go skiing and snowboarding with the kids.
Yeah.
They've already been on the mountain.
Nice.
That's a whole nother thing, man.
Yeah.
Teaching
Yeah.
kids how to
Yeah.
ski.
Oh, my son just started the skiing, and it's fun.
Let me know. We're
Yeah.
ready.
Where do you
I'd
guys
rather
go?
we go to mainly Okemo.
Yeah.
It's a close family mountain.
Mhm.
Just got my wife into it too
Nice. Nice.
because we have good friends who are ski family as
Good.
well, and my family was the ski family going
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did my parents get us all on the mountain and
Right.
do all that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
looking back, you realize it wasn't that easy, but we made it. I made it to we also do Mount Snow because it's
Mhm.
close. Made it to Stratton for the first
Mhm.
time this year, and we went up to Sugarloaf in Maine with our good friends for a
Oh,
whole week.
yeah.
Beautiful mountain
Yeah. That's
in
awesome.
Maine.
That's in Maine as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
6 hours away.
Yeah. So I think that's the further one. My in-laws have a house in Lincoln, so we go up to Loon. They actually
Loon is
just
beautiful.
yeah they just established residency there, which is super cool. They've forever they've been skiing. They've literally been doing it for when I met my wife. One of the stipulations was like, if you're gonna do, and I had never stepped on a ski or snowboard. Well, if you're gonna be part of this family, you gotta do one of the other. So I jumped on a snowboard. So I snowboard, um, and it's just I love that, man. I think that yes, we live in a very busy time. Not to mention, what we are dealing with externally from a uh, you know economy standpoint, right? The cost of everything. So we have to run faster and run harder because we have to pay for certain things, right? Daycare ain't cheap, groceries ain't cheap, things are expensive. So I feel like we put a little bit of pressure on ourselves as men, right? Because we we want to hold everything up, and you know, it's just who we are. Um, which I really want to dive into. The what I was really surprised was you're getting closer to God. Explain that to me. What does that mean from year to year? Let's look back 5 years where you were then and where you are now.
5 years ago, he wasn't in my life
Yeah.
as much because
Mhm.
I wasn't giving him
Mm.
what I needed to.
Mm.
And that's because I was being young and foolish. And
Yeah.
part of it, again, is that ego death. But
Mhm.
to give you a little more backstory, we were raised Roman Catholic, went
Mhm.
to Catholic school. I was an altar server.
Mhm.
And our our parents always instilled God
Yeah.
into us. And
Yeah.
I look back now at the Catholic school upbringing, community,
Mm.
family, all those things
Right,
all
right,
tying
right.
together. But my me growing my relationship with God has been because um one, I'm wisening up, but
Yeah.
the devil is attacking me every day, man.
Mm.
Uh with business,
Yeah.
it gets hard, and you
Yeah.
talk about, holding it up
Mhm.
on your shoulders and trying to be the man and trying to, do it all and be
Mhm.
Superman.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I'm not. I'm just a man.
Yeah.
And the devil still is going to attack me no matter how strong I am, how confident I am. And I've decided to give it up to God and to
Yeah.
let him help me, because the truth is I'm not Superman.
Yeah. Was
But
this a recent decision? Was this something
it
fairly
was,
new?
yeah, it's more recent.
Huh.
I've been having children
Yeah.
opens your eyes,
Yeah.
because you look at them and you ask yourself, how can there not be a God?
Ri Love that.
Yeah. And it was never that I didn't believe in him,
Mhm.
but I wasn't having conversations with him.
Yeah. Yeah. The beauty about God, and this is what I love about God, is that we have that tendency of like being, like I said, that being that Superman and taking everything on our own. And then things fall apart. And I think the reason why it falls apart, CJ, is because he said, why would I let you deal with all of this? That would make me not God. You know what I'm saying? And I too, I've been actually trying to get into my faith a little bit more. I used to, when I said this on my episode with Keith Porter, I was very heavily in the faith. Um, but with God, I've experienced recently, the more I rest in the word, right? I felt I can feel my thoughts being a little bit more clearer. And I don't know where you are in your journey, and maybe you can kind of just continue on with it, because I'd love to hear more, um, or what you want, or what from your with your journey and your experience with God. Um, but there's a level of self care that it comes down to as well. For us, like putting ourselves first, because if we can't put ourselves first, how are we going to take care of anybody else? But we can't do that without God. So
So are you really putting yourself first? Or
you're
we got
correct.
to start putting him first. And I guess, as far as where I am in my journey, is I'm relearning
Mm.
a lot of what was taught
Yes.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we touched on Superman and holding it on your shoulders. And the truth is that I've been crushed, man. I've been trying to hold the world up on my shoulders. And time again, the load got way too heavy.
Mm.
And you can only get crushed so many times before you stop trying to hold it all up by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a journey. And everybody has their own interpretation. And whether it's, if you want to be religious, I like to think of myself as a spiritual
Me
person.
too.
And
Yeah.
you know anybody can have a faith in God. It doesn't have to be my faith in God.
Right.
It should be yours. It should
Right.
be,
Right.
you have your own relationship with
Hmm.
him. That can mean countless things. And
Yeah.
it's one of the other amazing things about God is he is everything and
Yeah.
can be anything. And I also believe that he's inside of all of us too.
Yeah. So that's funny that you say that, because I was just about to. There's a book that I've read. It's more of a is a it's more of a political book. But there's a lot of religious aspects to this book. It's called God, Faith, and Reason, and the bulk of it is politics. But also how God plays into it. In the very last chapter, I said he goes, trying to remember off the top of my head. He goes, energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. Right. So electricity, these lights, the power that's running through that cannot be created. You can't create energy. We have an electricity in our body scientifically. There's electricity in our body. But when we die, that leaves us. So where's it go?
It's a good question.
So where's it go?
You also talk about, electricity. I like to call it vibration.
Mm,
And on a molecular level, our molecules, the atoms in our body are
mm,
all vibrating.
yeah.
And I'm not a scientist, but I believe that when we die, like you mentioned with electricity inside of us, that no longer ceases to exist.
Yeah.
And, the easy way to explain it is soul,
Right. Right.
getting into heaven and things like that. That's still part of my reconstruction here
Yeah. Yeah.
on where I'm dealing with
Yeah.
it. But I've always felt that I have
Mm,
soul,
mm.
brother. But no, that there is something inside of us
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is not tangible.
Correct.
Some people, their soul just flies out of
Hmm.
them. Other people, that soul's hidden. And,
Yeah.
some people's souls are damaged
Yeah.
and battered.
Yeah.
All of us, but some people have learned to let their soul recharge,
Right.
and that gets back to that work-life balance
Right.
of it revitalizes you. And,
Yeah.
you know,
So for listeners, for people who are dealing maybe with the same kind of stuff from a faith-based standpoint, what are you doing now to get your relationship with God back, or at least um, reform a relationship or renew a relationship with God?
well, one, acknowledging him
Hmm.
and realizing that he's there
Hmm.
and giving it up to him.
Hmm.
Also praying.
Yeah.
I'm not, well, I do pray every day,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, I'm not, this is all, I'm getting back
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of this,
Yeah.
and it's going to grow from
Of
here
course.
because
Of course.
it's all about growth.
Yeah.
But we started with the kids, holding hands at
Mm.
dinner time,
Oh, awesome.
bowing our heads,
Saying grace.
saying grace,
Yeah.
giving blessings. And now the kids, we kind of share, some nights
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I love
moms,
that. I love that.
and, hearing the kids give blessings and say
Yeah.
and give
Yeah.
thanks. And uh that's what grace is. Everyone
Mm.
thinks grace has to be about Jesus or
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
Muhammad, whoever your person is, that's fine. But grace is giving thanks.
Yeah.
When we hold our hands together as a family,
Hmm.
we thank God
Right.
for the food. We thank God for each other.
Hmm.
We thank God for life,
For what we have.
for
Yeah.
all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And bringing it back to family and business and all of that together is an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is probably one of the strongest things that you can have in your family life
100%.
and also your business life.
100%.
And I'm also learning to grow to be thankful for
Mm.
my problems,
Hmm.
my mistakes,
Yeah.
my fears, even though
Yeah.
you said I'm fearless in certain things. Um, being grateful for the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
That's another thing we also do
Yeah.
at dinner time is after we've prayed and once the kids start eating,
Y-
that's always
I'm
something.
sure. I'm sure
I'm
it's
real
fun.
thankful for that. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's learning experience, but
Yeah.
we do our highs and the lows, and
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And the reason why I do this show too is because I want to learn what other people are doing. Someone who has I was introduced to my own relationship with God at 16 years old, and I up until like 19, 20, 21. Those 5 years were really foundational. It was almost like being reborn, and it was really. Um, I look back and I would not be who I am today had I not been introduced at 16. Now, that being said, there's a lot of things that I've dealt with in for the last 15, 20 years. I'll be 35 in August, that I still still deal with. And there's times that I don't rely on God. And it's very easy for it to snowball and compound into almost neglecting God. When God tells us in the Bible to bring everything to Him, um, and I love that you bring your kids and let them experience that, because I believe that kids probably are a lot closer to God than we think, in the sense of uh, there, and that's what I believe. Um, but and I'll tell you why, CJ. It was funny. We're driving to school one day, and I don't do the whole. I'm going to start doing it. That's why I rambled, but I'm gonna start doing the grace and stuff with my son and my daughter, because I do think that's important. Um, but I remember driving to school one day, taking them to daycare, and the night before, I was lying in bed with my son, and I said, Camden, God loves you. Huh? That's what he goes. He goes, what? He's probably 2.5, 3 there. I'm like, I said, God loves you. He said, who's God? And I said, okay. I said, God's our creator. And we just kind of left it like that. So then the next day, we are driving. So we're driving to school, and I had said, he goes in the back. He goes, Dad, who's God? And I said, God is our creator. He's everywhere. And you know how I forgot what I had mentioned. I said something, and he goes, I gotta remember. He goes, oh, like when I was born. And I thought to myself, how would he kind of correlate the two together? I do think that kids are a lot more, not that they know or aware, but they're just so close to God, because they were brought into this world. There are gifts from God. Um, so I love that you do that. I do love that you're teaching your kids that, because I truly believe, man. And again, I'm not afraid to say it, but I think that we need as a country, we need more God in our country. Because of the foundation of it is not to be religious. I'm not saying it in a religious way, but to live a good life, to live a righteous life, to do things the right way, to treat people how you want to be treated. You know, you, there's a lot of benefits to that. So yeah, I just went on a little tangent there.
I did know that about you, though, that you did have a relationship with God. And
Yeah,
it does feel weird talking about it, but I am proud to say it. And I
yeah.
just
And it shouldn't feel weird, man. I
yeah,
think that's the
I just
thing.
don't want to come off as that I'm this holy
You're
being,
not.
and that I'm just
None of us are.
I just
Listen,
I want it to come off that
yeah,
I'm a fool,
for
and
sure.
I've made so many mistakes, and
Yeah,
that's what's brought me to this place.
yeah,
It's not because I've done
yeah.
everything right. It's
Right,
because I've done everything wrong.
right.
And we talked to bring it back. We talked about that ego death,
Yeah,
and like God wants to, he's going to break us down
yep.
so that he can build us up to
Hundred
what
percent.
he's going to put all the pieces back together.
100%.
But we're constantly being formed, and we're constantly
Constantly.
learning. And talk about creation with your
Mm,
son. And again, I touch back on it. The beginning of this probably started when you start to become a father,
yeah,
and as they get older, you have to explain things to them.
correct.
How can I explain our cat got ran over? How can I explain what happened? What happens when my grandmother passed? How
Hmm.
can I explain to my children where they go?
Right.
And we don't know. We
Don't
don't
know.
have hard solidified
Hmm.
evidence, but
Yeah.
you can believe, and
Right.
you can have faith that
Right. Right.
that is correct.
And I had this like thought the other day, because again, I'm really trying to very much get back into my faith with God, and I had this thought: is what do I have to lose for just believing a little bit, just a little bit? What do I have to lose? Absolutely nothing. And in
What
the
do you have to gain?
exactly, and in the Bible it says if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, You can move
Okay.
a mountain.
Uh, that's actually, it's funny. It's very funny. So in my eighth grade play, my my big line was, and I can there's a lot of things I forgot, but I can remember, and it's, it's a little bit different wording
Yeah.
than that. But my line was, "The reign of God is like a mustard seed,"
Mm,
and I'm gonna do it how I did it in the play. And though it is the smallest of seeds, it grows into the greatest of shrubs. And I think that my religion teacher, Mrs. Leroy, who was also my second grade teacher, she ended up getting me a little coin that had that on it
mm,
as well. And I like to think that I was a mustard seed
yeah.
and that they saw in me that I could grow into a great shrub.
Absolutely. I love that, man. So listen, we touched on your business, right? Your successful business, you're a hard worker, you grind, you do it all for your family. We talked about your family, the Satti uh, bloodline, if you will, in the shoes that you one day want to fill. We touched on a little bit about work life balance, and then we just talked a lot about our relationships with God. Um,
They're all very fluid. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
they're all the same thing.
they are.
If
They
it,
kind
if you really, they're just different categories,
Yeah,
different aspects of it, but it's all life.
yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you before we wrap up here that I missed that you want to share or want listeners to know?
Probably a lot. Um, you know, I think just touching back onto it is family life, business, God. It's all about growth,
Mhm.
and just keep growing,
Mm.
keep learning, never stop learning.
Yeah.
And again, going back, we talk about the ego, and you start to think that you have it figured out,
Mhm.
but then he's going to let you know
Yeah.
that you don't, and
Mm.
he's got to bring you back.
Right.
He's got to kind of, even though you think you're growing and everything's going right.
Yeah.
I've been holding on to this saying, "Tutto passa," which
Mm.
is everything passes.
Mm.
My grandma used to say, "This too shall pass,"
Yeah.
and
My
I always thought that meant, "All right, honey, the bad things are happening, and this too shall pass." And
Mm.
I always thought the saying meant the hard times are going to pass,
Mhm.
but I'm learning every day that it's not just the hard
Right.
times. The good times, they pass, and
Mhm.
they're followed by hard times,
Mm.
and the hard times are followed by good times. So
I love that.
if you're stuck in that hard time, tutto passa,
I
everything passes. But if you're in those good times, you better enjoy them,
Yeah.
because that's going to
Yeah.
pass too.
For sure.
Hard things are going to happen.
For sure. You know, I've been recently sharing, and actually, you summarized what I've been sharing on my episode, my last episode with Carrie Wilson. She's a marketing, um, she has a marketing company, and I had said something similar, that we get to a point where when things get easy, we get complacent, and we kind of fall back a little bit. And I think that there's this misconception that we don't want to, and I speak for myself, I've had this misconception that we don't want to move forward and push past certain things, adversities, challenges, uh, hardships. We don't want to push past them because we're so rooted in that comfort and that complexity, or complacency, I should say. But if we change the mindset of, kind of like along the lines of what you just said, uh, things shouldn't be easy. Things shouldn't be easy. Things should be hard. By definition, things should be hard. Like, we need to be. If things are so easy, like, where's the level up? How do you go up to the next level? How do you move forward? How do you build? How do you grow? You can't. And this podcast has allowed me to um, push past that discomfort that I've been having in life. Like, things I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it because it's going to be too hard, or and it's so rooted in me that I don't even know that I'm doing it. Like, I just like kind of fight or flight. But because I have a new episode that I'm doing all the time, or I'm talking to new people and making appointments with people who want to come on the show, and I'm like, already in, I have to do it. So, that just that level of discomfort that we just, once we get to it, we just have to realize that, or get through it. We have to realize that it's just going to continue to be that. And it's at the end of life where we figure out, like, maybe take the step back. But I think these are um, foundational character traits uh, that I hope to pass down to my children. I know for you definitely. Uh, I mean, you're probably already doing it with with what you, like you said, just the prayer, and I love that so much. CJ, you have no
That was
idea.
passed on to me,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
sounds like you're going to be
Oh
saying
yeah,
grace when you get home. And
100%, one hundred
um,
percent.
my parents too, and the other reason that I pray every day, even though I'm not always
Yeah,
sitting down in church or
yeah,
getting. Actually, I need to get back to church.
yeah.
That's another step that's coming. Um, as of recently, I had, like I said, I've been having these talks in my head with him. I On my job site the other day,
Mhm,
we had we're rigging out a piece of wood, and everything we do is so dangerous. But I literally got down on my knees. I tried
mhm.
to, not show everyone what is he doing over
Yeah,
there?
whatever though.
Got my hands together and I prayed to God. I said, please keep us safe. Please help us get through these
Mhm,
challenges.
mhm,
And we did. And also on that, at nighttime, when me and my wife, we switch nights on who gets to put the kids to bed,
mhm,
who gets to, not who has to. We read them stories. And then I've recently been at the end of the night, and this is what my dad did with me: get down on our knees on the bedside,
mhm.
put your hands together, and we say a little prayer
Yeah.
um, that we always had. My dad taught us, and then I just ask him again, "What are you thankful for?"
Mhm.
And they always have the best answers,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Um, it's out of the mouth of babes, they say. And you're like, when you were touching on your son, talking about the Creator, it's like, how can you see this happen
Yeah.
in front of you? How can you see
Right.
you and your wife's creation?
Yeah.
How can you not, believe that there's something out there
Right.
bigger than you and I just
Right.
sitting in this room?
Right.
So
There's some
it's
purity in that. CJ, where can people find you?
everywhere in a tree, in a tree truck with my
Yeah.
phone number on the side of it, 860-405-4134. Check us out on Google. We have over 155-star reviews.
155 5-star reviews.
I worked really hard to get to that. I
Mm.
haven't been putting out the review form nearly as much,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think we're okay where we're at. But
Mhm.
Satti's Family Trees on Google, and then sattisfamilytrees.com.
Are you on socials?
Oh gosh, yeah. Instagram, Satti's Family Tree,
Yeah.
and trees, and Facebook. I have a page, but
Yeah.
trying to focus less on more
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
posting
Yeah.
about the business, and that gets, you know how that goes, man.
Bro.
You're trying to, because the business is me and it is my family,
Yeah. Yeah.
but even as of recently, thank God the sun is out
Yeah. Right.
longer
Right.
and
Right.
we're getting out of
Right.
that winter. And
Right.
again, Tuto Pasa,
To-
that those cold, dark days,
Yeah.
the warmer days are coming. And
Yeah.
if you don't feel those cold, short days
Hmm.
where it's a little depressing, then the warm, sunny days aren't as nice.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to post more about, sharing with my family,
Hmm.
and means I'm falling off on the business side, but
No,
that's all
it's all
right,
good,
man.
man. It's all good. It's gonna go away one day. So we'll see. Anyway, man, listen, I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.
We could do this
We'll
forever, man.
definitely get this forever.
When you're not so busy and I'm not so busy, we'll
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
catch
yeah,
up over
yeah.
some
I'm trying.
coffee and figure this out too.
Definitely, definitely. I'm trying to get back by. Yeah, I don't live that far away, so but that's all I have for you, CJ. This was good. We'll have to have you on again. We'll do another one. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, brother.